Mauler goes where others fear to go. The incredible Mauler fights for G.I. Joe.
Look, Cobra soldiers. The Mauler will get them.
The G.I.Joe motorized Mauler holds...
Hey, welcome to Half the Battle.
It's high time we got back to the comic with issue 44, Improvisation on a Theme. Now, if you recall, the last issue we looked at was all about Springfield and the apparent death of several important characters.
Well, screw that, says the next issue. We've got toys to sell.
Yeah, this issue doesn't follow up on the drama from the last time at all. Instead, we're looking at a bunch of new characters. The cover does look promising. You've got Lady J firing at a truck driven by a battle android trooper. Though I can't help but notice that's a hell of a lot of cleavage for a military uniform.
Still, could be worse.
At least it's not the official Special Forces uniform from Mortal Kombat 9. Anyway, the opening page shows a training exercise.
And let's play Spot the New Toys!
Bazooka, Crankcase, the Awe Striker, the Mauler, Heavy Metal, Airtight, and the Silver Mirage Cycle. 7 in total. 7! That's a hell of a lot for one issue, let alone one freaking panel. And there's more to come. So, their final training exercise consists of them shooting 3 cardboard cutouts of his tanks. And Lady J declares them fully fledged Joes after that.
That was easy, wasn't it?
She says the first round of Yo-Jo Cola is on her. This is one of the earliest, if not the earliest, mention of Yo-Jo Cola. It was created because they didn't want the Joes to drink beer, and also they didn't want to advertise existing soft drinks. Airtight says it's perfect with a peanut butter and tomato sandwich. Yeah, Airtight is supposed to be a geek. I have no idea what that sandwich would taste like, and I don't want to know.
How lucky for me that I wear a mask so I can't eat anything on camera. You won't be getting your jollies that way, folks.
During their drive back, Airtight picks up some scorpions because he collects them. Like I in the comic said, geek. He then proceeds to put them in a first aid kit for safekeeping. That sounds like a fantastically bad idea if he forgets about it later. Imagine a tense combat situation where somebody gets hurt, they break out the first aid kit, and then BAM! Surprise scorpions! Well, enough of that character development, because there are more toys to see as 3 battle android troopers run towards the Joes. And they think they're joggers. Yeah, these things. Joggers. I feel like Skynet hugely overestimated the humans' capability of recognizing robots. There was no need to give them human skin, just have them jog along.
And here's where things take a turn for the weird.
The bats collide with the vehicles, releasing spores that turn into vines that immobilize them. The vines then release sleeping gas that knocks out the Joes.
Did I accidentally pick up the wrong comic?
This madness was actually arranged by a new character who's sort of auditioning for Cobra here, Dr. Brainwave. Yeah, I know, this is Mindbender, but they call him Brainwave here.
And don't worry, I'll get back to that later.
He's trying to convince Destro and the Baroness that Cobra should buy his creeper bombs, as he calls them. They have their doubts, since the Joes were caught by surprise, and they were almost all new recruits. That's all well and good, but dude, these are evil mutant plants!
I would think any organization like Cobra would be legally required to stockpile that kind of weird.
Brainwave anticipated their objections, so he has arranged for the captured Joes to be put in a deadly maze at a car scrapyard. Now that they are aware that they're in trouble, it should be a fairer demonstration of the bats and vines. Yeah, okay, so you took away the element of surprise, but they are still all rookies, except for Lady J, and you took away their weapons.
Well, to be fair, going up against unarmed recruits probably is a fair fight for Cobra.
So they send in a truck and 2 motorcycles. Lady J goes between the bikes while the others haul ass out of there.
And here's where I feel that the medium of a comic book somewhat fails in showing an action scene.
Just looking at this panel, it seems pretty much impossible for the Striker to have the time to escape the oncoming crash. Hell, even for that tank it's iffy. And in the next panel, we see the Jeep is airborne, even though there wasn't anything resembling a ramp in the previous scene. Honestly, this action sequence would have worked better in the cartoon. Anyway, the truck and the bikes crash into each other, but the Joes aren't out of the woods yet. Lady J deals with a van by driving over it, because why not, while the others have a Hiss tank and a Stinger Jeep on their tail. All this while Destro remains unimpressed. And he calls him Dr. Brainwave again, by the way. Bazooka, true to his file card saying that he's a quick thinker, takes off the Striker's gun, since it's useless without ammo, and throws it at the Stinger, taking the bat's head clean off. Take that, Cartoon Bazooka!
Phooey.
They deal with the Hiss tank by luring it into a car crusher, activating the thing and turning the tank into an exploding pancake.
Okay, 2 things here. One, I'm not certain that a car crusher would be large enough that you could drive a tank through it, but then again, I haven't found any evidence suggesting otherwise, so maybe?
And 2, I doubt a car crusher is strong enough to destroy a tank. But this is a Hiss we're talking about. Those things were built for speed, not armor, so I'm gonna say crushing that thing is plausible. Naturally, this means Destro and the Baroness remain unimpressed, so the good doctor steps things up. It seems there's no kill like overkill, since he's got a giant truck full of canisters, as well as a tanker truck in reserve. And he still has a bunch of bats on motorcycles. By the way, the first time we saw these, they were generic bikes, but for this latest batch, the artist used a model from the Silver Mirage cycle, accidentally giving Cobra brand new G.I.Joe equipment. While Dr. Brainbender is planning Operation Nuke Them from Orbit, the Joes haven't been idle. They found a pile of car batteries they're gonna put to good use, and Airtight has constructed primitive gas masks from car parts to protect them from the mutant pollen. Since this counters the sleeping gas, they just drive the Mauler into the bikes, because, tank versus motorcycle isn't that much of a fight. They then use the acid from the batteries to kill the plants. As for the big screw you truck, well, Lady J, who we haven't seen in a while, has driven up a huge crane and uses its magnet to neutralize the thing. That just leaves the tanker truck, and Destro is actually getting a little worried here. And hey, he actually calls him Dr. Mindbender.
Yeah, they say his name like 3 times in the comic, and only the very last time do they get it right.
So what I'm guessing happened here is, in the middle of writing this issue, they got the final word from Hasbro on what this new character was gonna be called. And they just forgot to change the 2 previous mentions.
Shame on you, Larry Hama. Shame on you! Oh, I can't stay mad at you.
Anyway, Mindbender plans to use the mutant plants in the last truck to just overwhelm the Joes, noting he and Destro will be quite safe since their van is airtight, which makes me wonder how the hell they are breathing, but whatever.
The Joes have plans of their own, though.
They've attached a net full of car batteries to the tank's barrel. I thought they were gonna use it as a mace of sorts, but it's gonna be a little different. Also, remember those scorpions? Yeah, Airtight throws the first aid kit at the van, breaking the window and sending the bad guys running. That is one hell of a sturdy first aid kit. The Joes then set the car batteries on frickin' fire and use the barrel to hurl them at the truck. I gotta admit, that is pretty awesome and very Mad Max. As a result, the truck explodes, burning all the plants with it. With that, Destro and Mindbender escape thanks to the Baroness, while Lady J congratulates the new recruits on passing their impromptu final exam. Even though she had said in the beginning of the story they had already become full-fledged Joes. And that was Improvisation on a Theme.
How was it? Very, very cartoony.
Seriously, this whole story seems to come straight out of the animated series. Literally even as mutant plant finds were in the Revenge of Cobra miniseries. Also, the last-minute escape by the bad guys is something that happens in pretty much every freaking cartoon episode. Given all that, it makes for a weird introduction of Dr. Mindbender. But then again, given how the guy dresses, weird is the new normal. It is sorta strange he's already wearing Cobra logos since he's essentially having a job interview with Cobra in this issue. But dress for the job you want, not the one you have, I guess. Which in this case means either Cobra Scientist or S&M Dungeon Master.
By the way, I own like 3 copies of this comic.
The original, of course, one reprint that came with 3 action figures, and one in a classic trade paperback. None of the later versions corrected the Dr. Brainwave name. I'm actually relieved about that, since this means they didn't George Lucas it up with these re-releases. No hand-shot first bullcrap here.
No trying to fix mistakes.
On a different subject, this issue crammed in a lot of new toys, and unfortunately, that means some of them get shafted. Crankcase and especially Heavy Metal barely get any screen time, because why show off the driver when you can show off the vehicle they came with?
Having said all that, I still didn't dislike the issue.
There was fast-paced action, and a number of characters, most notably Lady J, Bazooka, and Airtight, did get a chance to shine.
And that's all I have to say about the story. But for something fun, let's take a look at the ads in the original comic.
We've got Thundercats, which was a rival cartoon and toy line to G.I.Joe. We've got GoBots toys, which was direct competition to Hasbro's Transformers. And we've even got GoBots again, the cartoon series this time. Yeah, somebody at some marketing department had some fun at Hasbro's expense. Hasbro did get revenge years later, I guess, since they crammed the re-release that came with the toys full of ads for G.I.Joe products. Speaking of that release, it comes with a cool Lady J figure, and it also comes with 2 more figures. You'd think that maybe they would be Bazooka and Airtight? Or maybe Mindbender and a Battle Android Trooper?
But nope.
It's just 2 Cobra Troopers in gas masks that appear for all of one frickin' panel in the comic. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of army building, well, duh, you know this, but it seems a weird choice to me.
Final thoughts on the comic? Well, it was an entertaining story, but it would have been better suited for the cartoon series. Well, see you next time, everybody.
Mauler goes where others fear to go. The incredible Mauler fights for G.I.Joe.
Look, Cobra soldiers. The Mauler will get 'em.
The G.I. Joe motorized mauler holds 4 Joes. Goes left, right,